Coming up on the Purpose-Based Retirement, 4 reasons to own life insurance during your retirement years, when you should bring your kids into the financial planning discussion, and is tax reform going to put more money back in your pocket when you file your taxes next year?
Welcome to the Purpose-Based Retirement with certified financial planner practitioner Casey Weade.
It's not how much we make during the good times, it's how much we keep during those really bad times.
Casey leads a team of financial advisors with decades of experience, helping families across the country retire with the confidence they deserve. The Purpose-Based Retirement assigns every dollar you've saved a specific purpose to meet a key retirement need.
Whatever risk you faced, we've got a plan for that.
Stay tuned and learn how you can look forward to a worry-free, purpose-based retirement.
Good to see you again. I'm Lee Kelso here with Casey Weade, certified financial planner and the president of Howard Bailey Financial. We're going to begin the program today taking a look at something I think a lot of people might think is a little unusual, and that is the role of life insurance in retirement. If I'm near the end of life, why would I need life insurance?
Right. Most of the time we think about utilizing life insurance to cover our debt when we're younger, right? When we have a young family, we want to make sure we can still put the kids through college if something happens to us, that our spouse can still afford the home that we're in, they're not going to be kicked out of the house. You know, we want to make sure we have insurance for those reasons when we're younger, and then we get into retirement, typically we want to be debt-free, and now we're out of debt, and we say, well, I don't need life insurance anymore. But there's quite a few different reasons that you might want to think about that again before you cancel that life insurance policy. And one of those first reasons that we might want to think about keeping that life insurance policy, or even having life insurance and buying life insurance in retirement, is one, to take care of our spouse.
Yeah, so if you are married and you lose your spouse, you face the risk of higher taxes.
Yeah, you do. I mean, if you think about someone with a $40,000 taxable income today or a $50,000 taxable income today, with that income today, as a married filing jointly couple, you're in the, say, the 12% tax bracket. You go from a joint filer down to a single filer if you lose a spouse, and now that taxable income maybe stays the same. You know, especially in retirement, a lot of the time we don't see a dramatic increase or a dramatic change in expenses or income for that matter. Now that person's going to be paying higher taxes. If they still have $50,000 in taxable income, they just went from a 12% bracket to a 22% bracket. They're going to pay 10% more in taxes. Their taxes almost doubled. You know, at $50,000 a year, that's going to cost an extra, say, $5,000 a year in taxes, and that can be a big strain on a surviving spouse.
Yeah, and as well, you're going to lose some Social Security benefits, right?
Right, especially if your Social Security benefits are relatively close together. Those are the biggest risks, right? So we each have Social Security benefits that are about $25,000. Now, if one of them passes away, we lose half of our income, potentially. If we have benefits that are a little further apart, maybe one spouse has a benefit that's $25,000, the other one's around $12,000 a year. Now, one of those two spouses passes away, regardless of who it is, we're going to lose a smaller one. So we're going to lose a $12,000. But that can still be a significant chunk of income to be lost, and life insurance can help replace those things. If we chose the wrong pension benefit, what a scary thing for a surviving spouse to go from having this guaranteed income that was supposed to last a lifetime, then when the two of them passes away, life insurance can help replace that income. In addition, covering final expenses can be a great use of insurance, and that doesn't take much. Maybe that's only a $10,000, $50,000 policy. You can get a small life insurance policy to cover those final expenses, and then you want to get an analysis of what type of policy you might need to cover those other things.
And I didn't think about life insurance in this role in retirement, but as a place to stash cash. Now, walk me through that.
Yeah, well, we all need cash, right? Everybody needs cash. Everybody needs an emergency fund, and hey, cash is king, as the old saying goes. And today, cash is a very difficult asset to own because there's not too many places we can go to earn a decent rate of return. Right. If structured correctly, a life insurance policy can be as liquid as you might find a savings account being. Maybe it takes you a few days longer to get that money back in your bank account, but it's liquid, right? So we can get the funds out of there without any penalties. Maybe we're making anywhere from 3 to 5% or more in interest, so we're making higher rates of return than other relative investments that are going to provide us with that liquidity and safety, and we also don't have to worry about paying taxes on it every year. So if we have some extra cash, especially your overflow emergency savings, this can be a great place for it. This is what my wife and I use for our overflow emergency savings.
Diversification, what role does it play there?
Well, most people just have stocks and bonds, right? Or they just have mutual funds. And today, as a diversifier from asset classes, we might be able to diversify into life insurance and use it as an asset class. And that might sound kind of strange, but using it as an asset class and using it for the returns that it can actually give back to us if structured correctly. I've got a friend that once said, you know, the only thing I didn't lose in 2008 was my life insurance policy. It was the only thing that made money in 2008. And the same thing goes from tax diversification purposes. You might have your 401k, your tax deferred dollars, your taxable bucket, but what about your tax-free bucket? If you've already taken your Roth IRAs but you're looking for other places, this can be another tax diversifier that if there are changes in regulations when it comes to Roth, maybe there aren't changes in regulations when it comes to life insurance.
Single biggest expense we're going to face in retirement is long-term care costs. What can it do for us there?
Well, individuals have traditionally hated long-term care insurance over the last few years because of the regularly increasing premiums and because it is so darn expensive today, and it's a use it or lose it type of deal. With life insurance with an accelerated death benefit, this can be utilized for our long-term care needs while we're still living, and it can still come out tax-free, and we can also not have to worry about those increased premiums every single year. So we have a fixed premium, we have a death benefit if we never use it. You know, that can be a good tool as an alternative to a traditional long-term care insurance policy.
All right, so a new way to think about life insurance in retirement and some good reasons to give it a second thought and talk to your advisor. When we come back, questions from viewers. Stay with us.
Today, Casey is making this very special offer, a consultation with the Howard Bailey team. Are you prepared to stand up to retirement's most significant threats? It's a comprehensive education about your money, and your consultation is complimentary. See what you really pay your current advisor. Optimize tax savings and maybe increase your cash flow. Get more benefit from your benefit. Learn proven wealth strategies and techniques to help you feel more secure. Spend in retirement with confidence. Eliminate guesswork. Get answers from the team's fact-based approach. Make better decisions. Meet your financial objectives. Rise to your financial challenges. Call the number on your screen right now. Make your appointment. Let Howard Bailey Financial put you on the path to your very own purpose-based retirement.
You need a plan to create the retirement you deserve. The first step is to tune in to the Purpose-Based Retirement Radio Hour with Casey Weade and Marshall Johnson. Saturdays at 11 a.m. and Sundays at 1 p.m. on WOWO 107.5 FM or Sunday mornings at 11 on 95.3 MNC.
The highest educational achievement for a financial planner is the Certified Financial Planner certification. At Howard Bailey, all of our frontline advisors are CFP practitioners. Certified financial planners have been thoroughly vetted with the right education and experience to coach you through the complexities of your retirement. Getting to retirement, that's really the easy part. Find someone with what it takes to get you through this next stage of your life. Would your financial and retirement affairs benefit from a higher level of insight and care? Call us now to find out.
It's that segment of the program where we answer your questions, and our first question today comes from Bill in Valparaiso, Indiana, by email. He writes, when should we bring our kids into the discussion so they can understand our financial plan? What do you think about that, Casey?
Well, I think there's different levels that we need to think about when we start bringing our kids into the financial planning discussion. And of course, I think whatever society generally feels about this is very closed off, I think, in general. Most families don't want to disclose, especially, you know, previous generations. I know my grandparents, we didn't know what my grandparents had until they passed away. And that was something that would have been a lot helpful to know prior to that. You know, and I've seen a lot of families that still do that, but I'm having more and more of the families we work with that want their children to be brought into the fold. That's why we have the Howard Bailey Family Room, as we call it, which is our large conference room, and it gives everybody the ability for us to, you know, sit mom and dad there and have the children, maybe even grandchildren at times, around that table and explain their financial plan, mostly for estate planning purposes. But I think this can start much younger, you know, but it does start with those individuals that are going to be coming of age, and I think that's what's important. As we go, well, if we have an individual that's over the age of 18, if they don't know how much money we have today, they're sure going to know sometime in the near future. Right? Eventually, they're going to find out out, and I think you'd rather have the opportunity to show them how you accomplished what you accomplished, how much blood, sweat, and tears went into creating that life savings, and very importantly, what your tax strategy is when you pass away. 90% of IRAs are spent in a lump sum upon the death of the beneficiary. They could be spread out over not just one generation, but multiple generations, and that could ultimately lead to tax-deferred and tax-advantaged growth for multiple generations, at least 2 generations, and that could be a huge difference to your bottom line and their bottom line when they understand not just what it took to get there, but what they should be doing once you pass away, what actions they should be taking when it comes to investing and when it comes to avoiding those taxes. If they're over the age 18, then if something happens to you tomorrow, you don't want them left with a big pile of money and no idea how to handle it. But this can start much earlier. If they're under the age of 18, then you should have a guardian that's assigned for that and for those children, and that guardian needs to be coached. You know, the individual that is the guardian for our children understands our finances, knows where those different dollars are, and also we have a backup financial advisor outside of me, Marshall, that can step in and know this is what Casey's plan was with each one of these individual assets. So there's always somebody outside of our immediate family that knows how to handle our finances, especially if they're under the age of 18. They get over the age of 18 and you don't have any sophisticated trust documents that are going to restrict their access to that wealth, you need to bring them into the fold, in my opinion.
All right. Let's get down to Muncie, Indiana, and Paula, you're up next.
Hi, my name is Paula from Muncie, and my question is tax reform going to reduce my tax bill?
Well, there's a good chance, Paula, that it's going to reduce your tax bill. However, I don't know. You know, unfortunately, there's still a lot of things and a lot of unknowns out there for us to figure out over the coming years as we start to see things unravel and people actually filing their returns. Now, our early analysis shows that the majority of individuals are going to see a reduction in the federal taxes that they're going to pay. But unfortunately, what it looks like is those individuals that are individual filers that have a 6-figure income, those are the individuals that may be paying more in taxes in the future. And regardless of what tax reform brings, whether that's going to lower your tax burden or increase it, it's without a doubt presented opportunities to everyone in order to have a net effect on your tax bill for the long term, as long as you begin implementing tax strategies today and don't just wait to see how this unfolds. There's always something that can be done. I'd say 9 out of 10 times when someone comes into our office, we're able to show them how they can save some money on taxes somewhere, whether that's their IRAs, whether that's saving for college or even saving for healthcare expenses or long-term care premiums. Or even paying dollars in taxes on money that you're not spending. Your mutual funds, for instance, kicking out capital gain distributions every year, and you're not even spending those things. There are always things that you can do to shelter your ongoing taxation. We've helped CPAs that understand the tax code, understand how to handle their investments under the tax code. Those things have to go hand in hand. I hope tax reform reduces your tax bill just as much as I hope it reduces mine and we get more money pouring back into the economy. However, we just don't know because it's always an individual by individual basis, and you need to come down and sit down with a tax planning individual that's a tax planning expert, understands these things, and maybe even if you got a complex enough situation, bring your CPA into the fold as well as your CFP. And if it's sophisticated enough, maybe we need an estate planning attorney as well. Sometimes we have those round table discussions.
All right. At Howard Bailey, they work with lots of teachers who are facing all types of retirement questions. So this one coming to us from Brenda in Fort Wayne is right at home. Go ahead.
As a retiring teacher, should I roll my 403B into my pension or an IRA?
Thank you for your question, Brenda. And we answer this question because we are kind of experts with teachers. That's one of our largest areas of clients that we work with is in education, especially in the Fort Wayne area. We see a lot of teachers because of my family's background in education. My grandfather was in education for over 60 years, my mom for over 20 years, and that really put our roots down in the education world around this area, and I've helped my mom with her pension and many other teachers over the years. And you can roll your 403B into your pension, which a lot of teachers aren't familiar with that. They just assume that that pension that you have, and along with say your 401, is all that you have for guaranteed income during retirement. But you have the ability to take your 403B and other retirement accounts that you might have with your employer, with the school corporation, roll them into your pension and get a guaranteed income stream rather than a lump sum. And that might be a good thing to do. However, we have seen some major changes to the school community corporations' retirement plans over the last couple of years, dramatically reducing the benefit of rolling those dollars into those pensions. We used to see 8% plus cash flows from these pensions when lump sums were rolled into them, which was, how are we ever going to roll these dollars out somewhere else and justify it being the best thing for the client? You can't, because the best guaranteed income you could get was through the pension. Now with these lower rates in this new interest rate environment that we've seen, now we can get much higher, maybe 50% higher more income going to a private insurer, diversifying a little bit and rolling those dollars somewhere else where we can actually get more income. That hasn't always been the case, but due to some of the more recent changes we've seen to the retirement system in the Indiana school corporations, we want to make sure that you're sitting down and getting a real analysis of those things before you just jump in and implement a plan or roll that thing into a pension, which you can never get back.
Brenda, thanks for your question. Appreciate that. You can ask your questions at info@howardbailey.com. And we have a question for you in our question of the day. It has to do with 2017 stock market performance. Which one was the best performing stock in the S&P 500 last year? Was it in the energy sector, maybe industrials, consumers? We'll have the answer when we come back.
Today, Casey is making this very special offer, a consultation with the Howard Bailey team. Are you prepared to stand up to retirement's most significant threats? It's a comprehensive education about your money, and your consultation is complimentary. See what you really pay your current advisor. Optimize tax savings and maybe increase your cash flow. Get more benefit from your benefit. Learn proven wealth strategies and techniques to help you feel more secure. Spend in retirement with confidence. Eliminate guesswork. Get answers from the team's fact-based approach. Make better decisions. Meet your financial objectives. Rise to your financial challenges. Call the number on your screen right now. Make your appointment. Let Howard Bailey Financial put you on the path to your very own purpose-based retirement.
You need a plan to create the retirement you deserve. The first step is to tune in to the Purpose-Based Retirement Radio Hour with Casey Weade and Marshall Johnson. Saturdays at 11 a.m. and Sundays at 1 p.m. on WOWO 107.5 FM or Sunday mornings at 11 on 95.3 MNC.
Let me help you create the retirement you dream of. Go to my website and pick one of 3 education options to get started today. Get a copy of one of my retirement planning books, sign up for a Purpose-Based Retirement live event, or go to the Purpose-Based Retirement University. 2 days of college-level retirement planning instruction. With the right education and proper coaching, I believe anyone can create the retirement they dream of. It all begins with one step. Visit thepurposebasedretirement.com.
Going into the break, we asked you our question of the day. It had to do with the best performing stocks of the year. So which one of these was the best performing equity of 2017? Casey?
Well, Lee, the answer is A, NRG Energy. NRG Energy was actually up about 132% in 2017, a huge number from the utility sector. If we look at the healthcare sector, Align Technologies up 130%. So I've got some friends that picked up some of those fancy new clear braces and helped get that number up to over 130% for 2017. But not every S&P 500 stock did so well. Otherwise, it wouldn't have returned much more than 20% in 2017. We see companies like GE down around 50% in 2017. We see companies like Macy's down around 25% in 2017. The thing here, and the moral of the story here, is that it's not so much about these individual stocks that you can pick for your retirement. It's fun to double our money over 12 months. It's fun if you picked that right stock last year and saw it go up 100%. You saw it go up 130%. But if you turn just one small portion of your portfolio into a larger number, that's not going to have the biggest impact on your life savings. You have to make sure you're focusing on the right things. And if we're focusing on the individual stocks, taking those calls from our broker saying, hey, let's buy this stock, let's buy that stock, I think this is going to be really good this year, we're focusing on the wrong thing, because that's never going to provide you with the peace of mind that you really need during your retirement years to make sure that you don't have to worry about if that stock goes bankrupt. You don't have to worry about a major stock market pullback. You don't have to worry about a major healthcare issue if you have a true financial plan. And what we're going to talk about here in this segment is we're going to talk about what real financial planning is and the 3 levels of financial planning, and really what's wrong with our industry and how financial advisors are trained, because it starts with goals, it ends up with strategies, and then it should end all the way down here at tools. That should be the last thing that we're thinking about. Unfortunately, when you're going in, you're meeting with your financial advisor, those discussions end up coming around tools, right? We're talking about how this stock did, how that mutual fund did. If you're a 401k investor, everything's in mutual funds. Now you've got everything in one tool, and what is it really about? It should be all about the goals. Stephen Covey, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, what did he say? We always start with the end in mind. And what is the end in mind? The end is ultimately the goal that you want to be achieved, and that is where you should be starting this discussion. Unfortunately, financial advisors were trained that way. When I was in college and getting my finance degree, what did we talk about? We wanted to talk about how options worked, how mutual funds worked, how the stock market worked, how it interacted with the Fed and our economy. These are the types of things that we're trained on. Then I got into the industry. I worked with a captive insurance company. They wanted to train me how to use their insurance products and sell 1 or 2 different tools to the people that we worked with. Look at Marshall Johnson, our vice president, started in the mutual fund industry. He had to learn how to sell his 3 or 4 different mutual fund portfolios. You know, those are the things that we're trained. We're not trained as financial planners. We're trained as tool salesmen, and that has to change, and you have to recognize what has to change. It has to start with goals. Let's first identify what the purpose of your life savings is, right? That might be lifestyle maintenance. That's one of the things I hear most often is, well, it's about my lifestyle. Well, what's lifestyle mean? What do you mean maintaining your lifestyle? What I want to have X amount of dollars saved for retirement. I want X amount of dollars in income every single month. Why do you need that income? And the next question is, well, what if you experience a pullback in the market? How much of a pay cut are you willing to take? How much do you want to take? And that can lead us ultimately in the strategies we should be using for your income plan. Then we take a look at avoiding being a burden. One of the things I hear so often from the people that I work with is, I don't want to be a burden on my family. I don't want to be a burden on my spouse or my children. Financial independence, what does that mean to you? Freedom to spend, go travel. We can't spend if we don't have confidence that those dollars are going to be there next month, 10 years from now, and 20 years from now. Some individuals want to leave a legacy to their children, like my parents and my grandparents, always wanting to leave more to the next generation, and also maybe even helping your children along the way. This is the end goal. This is the purpose. This is where planning begins. Then we step into the strategies next. What strategies do we need to use to ultimately accomplish giving you that goal, delivering that goal? Maybe it's putting together an emergency plan. Maybe it's an income plan. Maybe it's an inflation strategy, a healthcare strategy, a tax strategy, an estate planning strategy. Think about a healthcare strategy. If you end up with an expense that's $5,000 to $10,000 a month, you can bet that that's going to put your goals in jeopardy, that financial freedom in jeopardy. We finally end up at the tools. Most of the do-it-yourselfers I work with, where do they focus their time? I've had gentlemen that come in, and also gals that'll come in and say, I spend an hour, 2 hours a day studying the stock markets. I want to know if I should be buying this stock or selling that stock, and we focus all on the one tool, the stocks. Maybe you're invested in your 401k and you're analyzing your different mutual funds. Everything's in one tool. You have everything in mutual funds. When you look at all these different tools, it could be stocks, bonds, annuities, even life insurance, real estate, gold, options. All these things have to come together to ultimately deliver on that strategy. and ultimately give us to a purpose-based retirement. A purpose-based retirement is made up of 4 different areas: your emergency fund, your income to last a lifetime, inflation to give you more income in the future than you have today, and your estate plan to pull it all together and ensure there's something left over. And all these different tools can get us to that end result, which is ultimately the goal. That's just the discussion you need to be having with your financial advisor. If it's all about the tools, you're missing out on really creating ultimately what you want to have during your retirement years, which is efficiency. If we can really get crystal clear on that goal, get crystal clear on the strategy, then we'll know that we're crystal clear on having the right tools to most efficiently accomplish the job. Think about making an apple pie. If you want to bake an apple pie, that's the end goal, right? If you want to bake a pie, you start with, well, I want to bake a pie. That's the goal. The next thing you think about is the strategy. What is the strategy to ultimately get that pie out of the oven? Well, that's the recipe, right? And then what about the last piece, the tools? What are the tools that we need in order to ultimately put together that recipe and get to that end goal? That might be flour, it might be sugar, it might be more sugar, it might be eggs. All these different things have to come together, not to mention apples, in order to make sure we can ultimately deliver to that recipe and get ourselves that warm apple pie that we look forward to popping right out of the oven. So make sure that you're maximizing the efficiency in your financial life by really walking yourself through the proper structure of a financial plan and not focusing too much on just the tools, and definitely not focusing too much on just 1 or 2 tools.
Well, isn't that interesting? You just took a complex subject like planning for retirement and made it as simple as apple pie. I like that. That's nice. We appreciate you being here with us today. If you'd like more information, you can always go to thepurposebasedretirement.com. You can email your questions to info@howardbailey.com. We'll see you next week.
Today, Casey is making this very special offer: a consultation with the Howard Bailey team. Are you prepared to stand up to retirement's most significant threats? It's a comprehensive education about your money, and your consultation is complimentary. See what you really pay your current advisor. Optimize tax savings and maybe increase your cash flow. Get more benefit from your benefit. Learn proven wealth strategies and techniques to help you feel more secure. Spend in retirement with confidence. Eliminate guesswork. Get answers from the team's fact-based approach. Make better decisions. Meet your financial objectives. Rise to your financial challenges. Call the number on your screen right now. Make your appointment. Let Howard Bailey Financial put you on the path to your very own purpose-based retirement.
You need a plan to create the retirement you deserve. The first step is to tune in to the Purpose-Based Retirement Radio Hour with Casey Weade and Marshall Johnson. Saturdays at 11 a.m. and Sundays at 1 p.m. on WOWO 107.5 FM or Sunday mornings at 11 on 95.3 MNC.
The highest educational achievement for a financial planner is the Certified Financial Planner certification. At Howard Bailey, all of our frontline advisors are CFP practitioners. Certified financial planners have been thoroughly vetted with the right education and experience to coach you through the complexities of your retirement. Getting to retirement, that's really the easy part. Find someone with what it takes to get you through this next stage of your life. Would your financial and retirement affairs benefit from a higher level of insight and care? Call us now to find out.